Hey everyone, today let's talk about one of the biggest hurdles in the startup world, getting into Y Combinator. YC is one of the most prestigious startup accelerator, but the competition is fierce. Knowing exactly what YC is looking for can make a huge difference in standing out from the crowd. But what makes some startups irresistible to YC while others don't make the cut? In this video, I'll dive into the specific traits YC values most in founders and startups with practical tips on how to highlight them in your application. So if you're ready to give your application the best possible chance, stick around, I've got you covered. So from what I've seen, Y Combinator is just as interested in the founders as they are in the ideas. YC wants founders who can handle the ups and downs of building a company. Let me break it down. YC looks for founders who are resilient, determined, and adaptable. First, resilience and determination. YC invests in early-stage startups, and these startups face constant challenges. Founders just need resilience to push through the setbacks. I'm talking about the kind of resilience that keeps you going even when you're out of money, when your product is failing, or when you're facing rejection. YC has seen it time and time again. Resilient founders are the ones who survive and thrive in the startup world. 2. Grit and adaptability in action. I often give the Airbnb example. The founders faced a ton of rejection. When they first launched, investors didn't see the potential in people renting out their own homes to strangers, but they persisted. They even created cereal called Obama O's and Captain McCain to fund the companies during tough times because their bank account was at zero. That's the kind of grit YC values. If you can show examples of times you faced challenges and overcame them, that's a big plus for you. Third are personal motivations. YC also looks for founders who are genuinely passionate about the problem they're solving. Why? Because building a startup isn't easy anyway, and if you're only in it for the money, if you're not passionate about it, you're less likely to push through the hard parts. In fact, YC even mentions that most of the startups they back don't even need the funds. They just need the reputation and the help to push forward, and that's what makes them stand out. From my perspective, if you can communicate why these problems matters to you personally, it makes your application stronger. YC doesn't just want entrepreneurs. They want people who are on a mission to make an impact. So in your application, share your personal story. Talk about why this problem resonates with you and why you're committed to solving it no matter what. Next up, let's talk about team dynamics. If you've been following up on my videos, you already know this is something I often bring up when talking about YC application, and that's because YC places a strong emphasis on the team, and for good reasons. In fact, YC generally prefers co-founder teams over solo founders because they believe startups are just too challenging to tackle alone. However, this isn't necessarily a deal breaker, with several famous YC companies being started by solo founders. So what's the difference when it comes to co-founder teams versus solo founder? Well, YC tends to look for co-founder teams because a good team usually brings complementarity in their skills. For example, one co-founder might be very good technically, while the other one does the business development and go-to-market. This balance is something YC values because, as they say, two heads are better than one. In your application, highlight the specific strength each founders bring to the table. Explain how your skills complement each other and how you work well together as a team. The second most important thing in your team dynamics is trust and chemistry. YC also wants to see trust and synergies between co-founders. They know that disagreements are inevitable, but a strong team will handle them constructively. A famous example of this? The Reddit founders. They went through some rough patches, but they had enough trust and mutual respect to navigate through those challenges. YC is looking for founders who can handle tough situations without the team and the company falling apart. Finally, showcase that team synergy. If you're applying with co-founders, don't just list everyone's job titles. Explain how you work together. A good example would be, let's say one of you handles product development and the other handles customer acquisition. Talk about how working together in that partnership has helped you move forward faster and achieve milestones. YC wants to see that you're not just a group of individuals, but actually a cohesive team working towards a common goal. Moving on to one of the most critical areas for YC, product market fit. Here's the thing. YC's philosophy on product market fit is simple. They want startups that solve real problems in a way that attracts actual demand. So what exactly is product market fit? In short, it's when you've built a product that actually fulfills a genuine need in the market. YC looks for startups with a deep understanding of their target market and customers, and they prioritize solutions that address clear pain points. For example, Dropbox solves a simple but widespread issue. People wanted easy access to their files from anywhere. This clear value proposition is a great example of product market fit. One thing I've learned is that YC is big on founders who know their market inside and out. If you're applying, it's important to show that you've researched your market. Be specific about who your customers are, what they need, and how your product exactly meets that need. YC wants founders who are obsessed with understanding their users. You can check out some of YC's application resources for tips on defining your customer base precisely and clearly. A good example here could be Stripe. Stripe's founders understood the frustrating experience developers had integrating payment systems, so they built a developer-friendly solution that quickly gained in popularity. YC loves this because it wasn't just a good idea, it was a targeted solution that had a high demand, which finally brings us to scalability and growth potential. I've said this before, YC also prioritizes startups that can scale. It's less of a selection criteria and more common sense. I mean, you would want to invest in something that scales as well, right? If you can show in your application that your product has growth potential and can reach a large market, you're on the right track. YC isn't looking for startups that are just solving a problem for a small group of people, but have the potential to have a big impact on a large industry. In your application, highlight any signs of growth potential. This could be a large addressable market, positive early customer feedback, or even a waitlist of users eager to start trying your product. Okay, so the final segment of this video is traction, something that can really make your application stand out. YC loves startups that have even the smallest sign of progress because it shows that people are actually interested in what you're building. Remember, early traction matters. Now, traction doesn't mean you need massive revenue or thousands of users right away. It could be as simple as having an MVP with some positive feedback from beta users. YC wants to see that you're making steady progress, even if it's early. This is because traction, no matter how small, indicates that there's a demand for your solution. The only scenario where traction doesn't matter is if the idea is great and impactful enough, and if you can convince YC that you can pull it off. Then yes, you could be among the 40% of startups that YC funds just at the idea stage. But of course, we want to keep a very realistic approach, so we will take traction into account. Your metrics are very important, so make sure you present them effectively. When you're presenting your progress, keep it clear and concise. Metrics like monthly active users, retention rates, or user feedbacks are great indicators that your startup is heading in the right direction. If you can show month-over-month growth, everybody, including YC, takes notice. And at last, show what you're doing and how you're growing with limited resources. YC knows that most startups applying are very strapped for cash, so don't worry if you haven't raised anything yet. Instead, focus on showing what you've accomplished with the little resources you have. This shows that you're resourceful, which is a highly valued trait as a founder. Startups that can demonstrate growth without significant funding are often viewed as more resilient and capable of scaling once they get additional money. So even if you're working with limited resources, highlight any traction you've achieved. Remember, YC isn't expecting perfection, they're looking for potential. All right, to sum it up, YC is looking for resilient founders, strong team dynamics, a clear product market fit, and early traction. If you can demonstrate these traits in your application, you're already giving yourself a better shot at standing out. And if you're preparing your YC application or just want to understand what top accelerators and incubators look for in startups, make sure to subscribe for more tips. And stay tuned for my next video where I'll be covering demo day preparation and scaling a startup post YC. Thanks for watching and best of luck for your application.